Today, I thought I would take some time to just see what was popping on Flow Scanner last week. This is from Investor Central Club. Basically, it is an option screener, but it's actually actionable because you don't have to put a million filters just to figure out and get the one thing and data that you actually need. The prints that we see come through here are prints that actually have some liquidity and move the market and are real moves that you can track and follow in real time. So today what I want to do is just kind of go over Flow Scanner, what was popping last week, what was down, and that can kind of give us a good idea of what to expect coming into the week ahead. So let's go ahead and dive right into this. So leader of last week was SPY. We had about 285 million dumped in. We had 71.19 million in calls against total puts coming in at 214.56 million. Now our most common traded contract, which is going to be representative over here, this is where you can see what were traders hitting the most last week and what was the frequency. So we can see there were 23 hits for the SPY 646 puts for 1/16/2026. We had some big money prints here. I like to filter it by premium, so see where is the biggest money being spent right now. And as we can see, from 12/18, we had 3 big money prints on the 646 puts. We had 2.8, 2.0, 2.0, so that's about, we'll call it 9 million, no, 7 million. 7 million total about dumped into those. As we can see here as well, we're seeing a lot of our contracts flip into open interest in the following day. We're also seeing, again, more of those 646s coming in, and that open interest is continuing to climb. Because if you look here, on the 16th, we only had 455. On the 18th, we had 13,000. And then on the 19th, that jumped up to 24,434, meaning these whales are still in those positions. That's one indicative way of being able to tell why or where these guys are sitting and for how long. Because once this open interest starts to fall off, that's when we can probably tell that some repositioning might be going on or that whale has exited that contract. Now, moving on, that was our SPY print. And by the way, it's as easy as just clicking off this box. Oh, and one other thing I want to check is the dark pool levels. So if I pull this tab over to the left and down, and then we do the same thing. Oh, we already have ticker. We'll go total cost. We can see that there was probably about over $1 billion that was dumped into SPY on the 16th, 15th, 18th, and 17th. So nothing on the 19th really of note that would give us any type of bullish confidence, I guess you could call it. So that's really what's going on with SPY right now. Our next big ticker that we're going to go over will be Tesla. Now, Tesla came in at 285.2 million, so only about 500K off, with $206 million going into calls, with only 79 million going into puts. And our most common hit contract for Tesla was the $500 calls expiring for January 16th of 2026. Again, if we look at our timestamps, so if we look at anything on the 15th, we can see that we had already a healthy amount of volume going into these contracts. 49,000 open interest. So obviously this is a position that dealers have been building into for quite some time now. We capped out the week. If we go look, let's go see if we can find anything from, nope, it looks like not. So really, the 18th, yeah, we have about 43,000. So it looks like we had some whales actually exit this, because as we can see on the 16th, we had about 51,000 in open interest, and then that dumped down to about 43,000. So if I were a betting man, I would say that this position has been kind of taken out of those $500 calls. Now, if we do see, that's why another thing with options, it's pretty hard to tell when whales are getting in. That's why I typically like to look at stuff where the volume is greater than the open interest, because that means it's a fresh position. And you can tell if the whale is still in there or not because you kind of have a starting point. So we'd probably have to go a little further back to see when these $500 calls started to first come in, but that's really all we're seeing with Tesla right now. On the dark pool side of things, we had two big money prints. We had about another billion dropped into Tesla dark pools as well. So that is one thing to note going into next week. If you haven't already, make sure you watch the weekly outlook video where I talk about kind of the expectations, how to trade the Santa rally, because it will be a low volume, thin week. So pain plays will be extra painful this year. QQQ, that's our next top print. That came in at 156.37 million with 57 million in total calls against 98 million in puts. So this probably could be some indication of broader hedging against tech in the short term. As we can see, our most hit contract were the $600 puts for 109, which is about a week earlier than those 116 2026 puts that we were seeing with SPY. As we can see with our open interest, we have not really had any movement. It's stuck about 19,000 all week. And then we also had a big money print of about 278.58 million in the dark pools for 457,000 shares. And that's our QQQ level. So $600 puts will be on the watch. For Nvidia, our next one, we had 119.26 million dropped in with 81.03 million going into calls, with 38.23 going into puts. And our most hit contract for Nvidia, it looks like that was the 175s that were starting to come in for 12.26. So something that expires this upcoming week. So it looks like some people are playing the bullishness from Nvidia right now. Not shocking. We are seeing, let's go and look at how this open interest kind of treated us last week. So if we look at our open interest, we can see on the 15th we had 7,000, and on the 17th, by the 17th we had 28,000. By the 18th, another 44,000 as well. So clearly we are seeing some big bets being placed into this ticker for the week. So that is something, the 175s, which the tough part is this could be a delta hedge with the price action that we're seeing, since those calls are now in the money most likely. The next up we have, it'll be interesting, by the way, to see what the open interest on these contracts will be starting Monday morning. In the dark pools, we only had 446.2 million dropped as our big money print for about 2 million shares. Now, next up, we have IWM. IWM came in at 51.93 million with 12.72 million and 39.2 million in puts. So that 12 million was in calls, 39 million in puts. And if we look at what the most traded contract on IWM was, we would see that our winner chicken dinner were the 239 puts expiring on 1/16/2026. That 1/16 has been a very popular spot where we're seeing dealers build positions for some short-term turbulence, it seems. We had a big money print here, about $1 million dropped on the 19th at about 11:47 a.m. for 7,000 contracts. That open interest has steadily been rising all week. It jumped up about 30K between Thursday and Friday last week, as you can see with the 21K here, jumping up to 51K heading into that next day. So that's another thing to just remain cognizant of. We'll see. The next one would be EFA, and this will be our last one of the day. So EFA came in hot and heavy. We're looking at 34 million in total flow, with 31 million coming into calls, with only 2 million against puts. As we can see up here, 12:15, we saw some big money prints come in on this thing, but it really looks like the 15th is the only time this thing saw some action. We have some prints down here on the 19th for much smaller premiums, but we can also see that some of these dealers are starting to leave these positions. We have $98, $98, $95, $94, $95. Now, our most popular contract out of EFA, this would be the $96 calls for 1/16/2026. 13,000 open interest. These were opened up on Friday at about 142 and 151 respectively. And even in the dark pools, we had about a $316.7 million print that came through, which is showing that dealers may have some faith in this. So that's another thing to just be aware of. Anyways, that's our flow scanner show for the day. I just wanted to make a quick 10-minute one. I'm going to hop back on here in about 30 seconds once I get off of here. But thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this with a friend who needs some advice on what to trade this week. We just went over our 5 hottest contracts that were printing on Investor Central Club from last week. Feel free to join us too, investorcentralclub.com, where you can get real-time flow. You can come trade with me on a daily basis. I trade every day on stream. We have a great community and Discord community where we have tons of other analysts as well. Would love to see you over there. Anyways, I hope you all have a happy holidays, have some great times with your families, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. This will be a new series that I'm starting on Sundays where we just kind of recap what happened last week to maybe give us some indication of what we could see in the week coming up. Make sure you leave your hottest take down in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, share this out to all your friends, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.